Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a collection of sources to really put a spotlight on, well, one of the most rapid and, frankly, stunning celebrity implosions we've seen recently. We're talking about James. This isn't just about a talk show host leaving U.S. TV. It's more like a case study, isn't it? What happens when this incredibly positive, happy-go-lucky public image crashes headfirst into all these
allegations of private behavior, egotism, really shocking claims about mistreating staff, service workers, quite a list.
And that contrast, that's really what we're trying to understand today, right?
Absolutely. That's the mission. Corden got huge in America, almost entirely based on being this humble, grateful, endearing everyman.
Right, the relatable guy.
Exactly. Pure enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He even said, and we've got the quote here, "I will really do my best not to let any of you down." That was the promise.
But the sources we've gathered, they paint a very different picture. Consistent.
Yeah. Consistent. Entitled, often described as an obnoxious bully, especially, it seems, towards people he felt couldn't sort of help his career.
And the way he got famous in the U.S. was so modern, was purely digital.
Oh, total. 21st century playbook. He blew up almost overnight because of viral. Carpool Karaoke wasn't just popular, it was everywhere. Made him a household name.
But relying on that digital buzz, it's like building on sand.
Well, exactly. It created this massive platform, but also a massive target. So when the reputation started to crack, the backlash, the downfall, just as viral. Just as fast as his rise.
A complete 180. So we need to figure out where those first cracks really appeared.
Okay, let's trace it back. We need to start way before L.A., back in the U.K. where it all began.
Yeah, because when Corden landed in the U.S., a lot of people here saw him as this, fresh face, maybe even a bit random. But he definitely wasn't an...
Oh, no, not at all. His start in the UK entertainment world was genuinely quite modest. Our sources show he really bounced around doing small parts, often pretty forgettable stuff in regional theater and TV.
He really had to grind it out.
Absolutely. Spent time in musical theater, Martin Guerra, as a young actor. He was in that 1997 film 24/7. A sports drama, even did a stint on the soap opera Hollyoaks.
Right, Hollyoaks, that's a long-running one.
Very demanding schedule, but these weren't star-making roles, they were jobs. Learning the craft, getting work.
And that persistence, that eventually paid off. He got a recurring role on Fat British drama.
Jamie Reimer. Yeah, that gave him steady TV work, regular exposure. But the really crucial thing about Fat Friends happened off-screen.
That's where he met Ruth Jones.
Exactly. Became friends with his co-star, who turned out to be his future creative partner. And that friendship, that connection, that was the real game.
Because that led directly to Gavin and Stacey.
The lightning strike moment. They created it together, starred in it together, 2007. That show, Gavin and Stacey, was the undeniable breakout that just changed everything for Corden's career.
And he played Smith, Gavin's best. Loud, a bit crude sometimes.
But ultimately loyal, endearing, really lovable in his own way.
Smithy became huge, didn't he? More than just a side character. He was like a cultural touchstone.
Totally. And the show itself resonated so deeply because it felt real. It was about this long-distance thing between an English guy and a Welsh.
And it really captured that Welsh culture and humor, which hadn't been seen much on mainstream British TV before.
That's key to its success. It wasn't just a hit show. It was a proper cultural event. I mean, get this, for the listener. The sources say over half the entire population of Wales watched the Christmas Day finale.
Wow. Half the country.
Yeah, massive. So overnight, Corden goes from being a working actor to a major celebrity. He wins Best Comedy Performance at the BAFTAs in 2008. Suddenly, he's hosting the Brit Awards, doing big charity events, top-tier UK talent.
And alongside the character Smithy, he was building this persona, wasn't he? The grateful, gentle, humble guy, happy to be there.
A lovable idiot who made good, Couldn't believe his luck. But this is exactly where our sources start showing those first kind of unsettling signs that maybe the persona wasn't the whole story. Little glimmers of the reality underneath.
Suggesting it was maybe more of a performance?
Possibly.
Yeah.
And what's telling is that Corden himself seemed aware that fame was changing him. Maybe not for the better. There's a 2015 interview where he talks about it.
What did he say?
He admitted that the first flash of fame, his words, is a mind-altering time. So you start to think you're maybe a bit more of a dude than you really are.
Huh. That sounds like he knew his ego was getting inflated.
It reads like that, yeah. An admission.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just him noticing. People around him were seeing it too, apparently felt they had to step in. Suggests his behavior was becoming a problem quite early on.
Like his Gavin and Stacey co-star, Rob Brydon.
Yep, Brydon apparently felt he had to have a word. Pulled him aside, basically staged a sort of professional intervention.
Really? What did he say?
Told him directly, and this is a powerful quote from the sources, "Look, this is a bit awkward to say, but I'm just hearing these things about you, and you got to know that the way you behave has an effect on people."
Wow. You don't say that lightly to a colleague.
No. It suggests something was genuinely off, disruptive, or maybe offensive. But maybe the most direct warning came from his own family.
His sister.
Yeah, his sister gave him that famously blunt advice, "James, don't be a dick."
Just straight up.
Straight up. The fact that these interventions from close friends, colleagues, family were happening right after his first big success, it really suggests that gap between the public persona, lovable Smithy, and maybe a more aggressive private personality was already there, years before he even thought about America. So, okay, Corden's got the BAFTA, he's famous, everyone loves Smithy. But then his next few career moves, honestly, they were pretty bad.
Yeah, he hit a wall, didn't he? Critics started questioning if he could actually do comedy or act well outside of that specific Gavin and Stacey role. The UK public started looking at him a bit differently.
He went from that massive high straight into some really high-profile flop. First big one was that sketch show he did with Matthew Horne in 2009, Horne and Corden.
Right, they were trying to capture that Gavin and Stacey chemistry again.
Tried and failed.
Yeah.
It was a critical disaster. Absolutely panned.
Canceled after one season.
Yeah. And the reviews were brutal. The Telegraph had maybe the most cutting line we found in the sources. They called the show about as funny as credit default swaps.
Ouch. Let's just pause on that. That wasn't just saying it's unfunny. This was 2009, right after the financial crisis.
Exactly.
Credit default swaps were like the symbol of global financial meltdown, toxic, complicated, incredibly damaging.
Yeah.
So comparing a comedy show to that, it's saying it failed on every conceivable level, almost fundamentally toxic itself.
It definitely shifted how people in the UK saw his comedic talent, and the flops kept coming. His next big thing was a movie, Lesbian Vampire Killers.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, same story. Bombed critically, commercially, got something like 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.1 on IMDb, just dismal.
Okay, but actors have flops. That happens.
Yeah.
What came next, though, that wasn't about bad movie choices. That was about his temperament, right? In public.
Exactly. This is the 2010 Glamour Woman of the Year Awards incident. This public fight really cemented those ego rumors for a lot of people in the UK.
This was the moment that lovable guy image just kind of shattered in public view.
Completely. Corden was hosting. Sir Patrick Stewart, Captain Picard, Professor X, hugely respected actor.
Yeah.
He called Corden out from the stage publicly.
What did he say Corden was doing?
Accused him of being disrespectful to the award winner. Said he was just standing at the back, hands in his pockets, looking uninterested. Stewart told him he needed to look a little bit more engaged. Didn't hold back.
Okay, so Corden has a choice here. Yeah. He could play the humble card, apologize, make a joke.
Use that grateful, gentle persona, right?
It showed this defensive, maybe entitled side.
Exactly. And the UK press absolutely ran with it, confirmed everything people had been whispering.
Yet somehow, despite the flops and that public meltdown, he managed to pull his career back from the brink.
He's known for being tenacious, right? Sheer force of will. He got the hosting gig for A League of Their Own, that sports panel show, which was successful, leveraged his name recognition.
And then he went back to theater.
Yeah, and found huge success there. One man, two governors, won a Tony Award for it in 2012 when it transferred to Broadway. That really rebuilt his credibility, gave him the momentum he needed for that huge leap across the Atlantic, set the stage for America.
So 2014, the announcement comes, James Corden is taking over the Late Late Show on CBS. And in the U.S. industry, that was a genuine shock, wasn't it?
Totally unexpected. For most American viewers, he was basically unknown. A who moment for many.
And he was replacing Craig Ferguson.
Alleged. Ferguson was an icon. He'd made that show completely unique for a decade. His whole thing was real, unplanned conversation. Remember how he'd dramatically rip up the scripted questions every night?
Yeah. Avoided all the standard celebrity plugging anecdotes. It was quirky, personal, introspective, nothing else like it.
Exactly. So Corden had this massive challenge. Win over Americans who didn't know him and replace this beloved, unique institution.
So when he started, he really leaned into that humility thing we talked earlier.
Heavily. That manufactured humility. Making that promise again. I will really do my best not to let any of you down. Selling that wide-eyed gratitude, that was his main tool.
But behind the scenes, he and his team had a totally different strategy for late night.
A radical one, yeah. They figured out that the old model, the traditional TV ratings at 12, 3, 7 a.m., they were becoming kind of irrelevant for that slot.
The real game was online the next day.
Precisely. The real value, the real money, as the sources put it, wasn't the live broadcast. It was creating short, punchy, viral moments. Stuff people would watch and share on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, the next morning.
So they weren't really making a TV show for people watching live late at night?
Not primarily. They were making content for, like you said, the person scrolling their phone at their desk at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
A totally different audience.
And they designed segments specifically for that, engineered for sharing.
And man, did they strike gold. Two main concepts just exploded.
Carpool Karaoke.
Instantly iconic. It was genius, really. Perfectly designed to show Corden as this fun, chill, spontaneous guy, just hanging out with the biggest stars on the planet, singing along, totally non-threatening.
And it made the celebrities seem more human, right?
That was the magic.
Yeah.
It felt like you were seeing them on a more human level. Think about those huge viral moments. Adele just nailing that Nicki Minaj verse on Monster.
Yeah, that was amazing. Showed this hidden talent.
Or Harry Styles casually mentioning he throws out his expensive Calvin Klein underwear after wearing it once. Just these little glimpses into their lives, but presented as totally casual, fun, shareable.
And the other big one was spill your guts or fill your guts.
Right. High stakes there. Eat something disgusting, fish eyes, bolt penis, whatever. Or answer a really personal, maybe embarrassing question.
It was pure clickbait, basically.
But it worked. Sensational. It made the audience feel like they were getting this deeper understanding of celebs, while Corden just played the supportive, slightly grossed out friend.
And this strategy, focusing purely on viral hits, it paid off massively.
Unbelievably well. Traditional TD metrics couldn't compare. By 2017, the show's YouTube channel had over 10 million subscribers. Suddenly, those CBS execs who took a gamble on this unknown Brit, they looked like this.
And that digital success translated into real industry clout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's hosting the Tonys in 2016, then the Grammys twice, 2017 and 2018. James Corden had completely reinvented himself for the U.S. market. He became Hollywood's go-to guy for hosting big events, all built on appearing harmless, enthusiastic, and crucially, authentic. So Corden's at the absolute peak in the U.S. global star. But just like in the U.K., those cracks started showing again. And often it was the same triggers, unscripted moments, interactions with people in service roles.
That first big stumble that really cut through to the U.S. audience was in 2017, wasn't it? Ironically, during a Spill Your Guts segment with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, another late night host. And Kimmel asked him what seemed like a simple question, but it turned out to be incredibly revealing. Name 2 of the cameramen in this room.
Oof, and he couldn't do it.
Not one. He stalled, laughed nervously. He was visibly awkward. Then he gave this really weak excuse. It's a different crew tonight, actually. The silence was just heavy. A real moment of truth, it felt like.
If people online picked up on that.
Instantly. The reaction was visceral. Sources note people felt it spoke volumes about him. Lots of comments speculating it wasn't just a random prank question.
They thought it was deliberate.
Yeah, maybe a power move. Approved by the producers specifically to expose the rumors about Corden being arrogant or maybe not respecting the crew, the people behind the scenes who make the show happen every day.
And that same year, 2017, the harmless nice guy image, another hit. Ethically this time.
Yeah, October 2017. He was hosting the Amfar Gala, and he decided in his monologue to make jokes about the Harvey Weinstein allegations, which were absolutely dominating the news.
What was the joke?
He was widely seen as just incredibly inappropriate. He said something like, "It's so beautiful here in L.A. Harvey Weinstein has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him a massage."
Oh, wow.
That's bad. Really. Swift condemnation. Showed a massive lack of judgment, zero sensitivity to victims of sexual harassment and assault. It completely contradicted that image of the kind, thoughtful guy. Showed he could be really offensively tone deaf.
So the gap between the polished Corden on TV and the alleged off-camera bully, it was getting wider and wider.
Dramatically. And then came the perfect storm for exposing that gap.
Yeah.
Reddit. He did an Ask Me Anything, an AMA.
Which can be great for celebrities
or a total disaster, in this case, unmitigated train wreck. Because Reddit bypasses the PR machine. It's raw, unfiltered public opinion. And people came with receipts, specific, damning stories confirming the rumors.
What kind of stories came out?
One user shared this really detailed account from about 6 years earlier. They were in a restaurant in London's Chinatown, Manchu legend, sitting near Corden and Harry Styles.
Okay.
The user said they left them alone, but watched Corden being massively entitled, yelling, treating the waitstaff like shit.
Yikes. Compared to Harry Styles.
Exactly. The user said when their own group politely asked Corden to maybe calm down, he got really aggressive and threatening. And they finished by asking Corden directly, why did Harry Styles seem so cool while Corden was being a massive, throbbing arse?
Right.
That contrast made it even worse.
Wow. Any other examples?
Another user talked about watching the filming of A League of Their Own. Said Corden threw multiple tantrums at the production staff over small things, just really rude, demanding. Apparently he spent breaks glued to his phone, ignored everyone.
And the worst part of that one.
According to that witness, when people asked for pictures afterwards, Corden massively kicked off. Just started shouting at them to go away. The user concluded that seeing him act like that made them realize everything on TV is a complete persona.
So the AMA basically just confirmed everything the UK press had hinted at years before.
Exactly. The whole thread just got drowned in insults and negative questions reflecting this deep public distrust. Things like, "Why are you, James, such a deeply unpleasant person?" Or asking what it would take to make him go back to the UK.
How many questions did he actually answer?
Only 5. Then he just bailed, shut the whole thing down. But the damage was done thoroughly, irretrievably.
And meanwhile, his movie career just kept giving people reasons to mock him. Cat, 2019.
Oh, Cat, the gift that kept on giving to critic. Universally ridiculed, spectacular failure, box office and critically.
What were the scores? Like, historically bad.
Shockingly bad. 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
2.8 out of 10 on IMDb. And Corden's performance as Buster Jones was singled out as unbearable. Ricky Gervais even made fun of him for it at the Golden Globes.
And Corden's reaction to all this.
That's what's fascinating, just visible indifference.
Yeah.
Which only fed the arrogance narrative. He was asked about cats on his own show, perfect chance for some PR spin, right?
Yeah, damage control.
His response, total lack of investment. I haven't seen it, so I've not watched the film.
He hadn't even watched his own massive movie.
That's what he claimed. It just suggested this purely transactional view of his career. Just doing jobs for money and status, no real passion, validated the public feeling that it was all just an act.
And this negativity started to really stick to him.
It became toxic. In 2021, there was that petition to keep him out of the Wicked movie adaptation. Got over 100,000 signatures. And remember his appearance on the Friends reunion. He hosted it, but he had no connection to the show, the cast, the history. That was widely seen as awkward and poorly received, too. The audience wasn't just tolerating the persona anymore. They were actively pushing back against the man himself.
Okay, so the reputation is already in shreds, but the incident that really brought it all to a head, the point of no return, was the Balthazar, November 20.
Yep. And this one hit hard because, again, it was about alleged terrible treatment of service staff.
Yeah.
But this time, the person exposing it wasn't anonymous. It was the restaurant owner himself, Keith McNally, on Instagram.
And McNally's post was very specific, wasn't it? Highly detailed.
Incredibly specific, which made it so damaging. He detailed two separate incidents. First one, Corden allegedly finds a hair in his food. Okay, complainable. But instead of just quietly telling someone,
he demanded free drink.
Demanded the manager bring a new round of free drinks for his whole table, and explicitly threatened a negative Yelp review if they didn't comply and cop the drinks they'd already had, using his fame as a weapon, basically.
Classic entitlement move, if true. And the second incident.
Even worse, apparently. He got absolutely furious because there was a tiny bit of egg white mixed in with his wife's egg yolk omelet. A mistake, sure. But McNally claimed Corden started yelling like crazy at the server.
Saying what?
Telling the server they couldn't do their job properly, and then delivered that infamous line suggesting maybe he should go in the kitchen and cook the omelet himself.
The cook it myself line. That's the one that went viral.
That sarcastic, dismissive comment became the symbol of the whole thing. Corden got immediately banned from Balthazar. McNally's post blew up globally. Corden had to apologize fast.
His first apology was quite narrow, though, right? Focused just on that comment.
Exactly. He said he regretted the sarcastic, rude comment made in the heat of the moment, apologized to McNally, got unbanned, but the damage was immense. It just perfectly matched every single anonymous story from Reddit from crew members. It confirmed the narrative. Zero respect for people he saw as beneath.
But then he kind of walked back the apology later.
That's what really solidified it for people. Despite that quick apology to get back into the restaurant, later in an interview, Corden claimed, "I didn't do anything wrong on any level," just shrugged it off.
So the first apology seemed fake.
It made it look purely like PR damage control, right? Not genuine regret at all. That contradiction just cemented the public view.
So you've got the Balthazar fallout, all the old stories bubbling up again, the whole situation just critical mass.
Nuclear levels, as the sources put it. And by early 2023, that toxicity started to actually hurt the show financially. The Late Late Show brand itself was taking a hit.
And then came the final nail in the coffin for the authenticity brand, the Carpool Karaoke revolution.
The driving thing, yeah. The segment that built his entire U.S. image on being real, casual, just driving around singing, turned out it was sometimes staged.
Footage came out showing his car with Justin Bieber in it being pulled on a trailer.
Yep. By a big truck, meaning Corden wasn't always actually driving. Now look, in TV production, using a tow rig is common, sometimes necessary for safety or camera angle.
But for that segment.
Exactly. A segment that sold itself entirely on the illusion of spontaneity, just two pals driving. Seeing it was faked, even sometimes, just shattered the illusion for a lot of viewers. The perception of fakeness was devastating.
Did he try to explain it?
He made a joke about it on his show, claims something like, "I swear to you, 95% of the time, I really am endangering the lives of the world's biggest pop stars." Tried to laugh it off.
But it stuck.
It stuck. Didn't matter if it was 5% or 50% faked. It damaged the show's reputation for being genuine. And combined with all the behavior allegations, viewership started to really tank.
What were the numbers like towards...
By January 2023, the weekly average viewers had dropped pretty significantly, from around 915,000 down to just 671,000. That's a big hit for a network show.
So the end was near. He officially left in April
28th, 2023. His official reason, the public one, was very sentimental. Wanted to spend more time with his family back in the UK. Specifically mentioned his oldest son, Max, finishing 6th grade, wanting to be there for that real moment.
But the network's decision tells a different story.
It really does. The reality behind the scenes was pretty stark. Corden had apparently done so much damage to the show's brand, the franchise, that CBS made a huge call.
They didn't just replace him?
Nope. They canceled the Late Late Show entirely, took it off the air for good. After decades, they decided it was better to end the whole thing rather than try to salvage it with a new host. That's a massive statement about the Corden era. A total rejection, really.
When you look at the whole arc, the comparison to Ellen DeGeneres is almost unavoidable, isn't it?
It really writes itself. Both started in comedy, climbed to the absolute top of U.S. entertainment, both built their entire brands around being genuinely kind, humble individuals, grateful for their success.
Be kind.
Exactly. And both were eventually very publicly exposed through numerous allegations as being, well, the opposite behind the scene, entitled obnoxious bullies, as some sources put it, who didn't care for anyone they deemed to be beneath them.
Particularly staff, crew, service workers.
That seems to be the common thread. What's maybe interesting with Corden, though, is because he came from acting, from character work like Smithy, maybe his mask was even tighter. Maybe the performance of niceness was even more polished than Ellen's, making the reveal feel even more jarring for the audience. A bigger sense of betrayal, perhaps.
So the U.S. late-night career is totally finished, but he's not appearing.
No, he's back in the UK, focusing on theater again. And remarkably, he's reprising Smithy for a new Gavin and Stacey Christmas special in 2024.
That character is still beloved, despite everything else.
It has incredible durability. It speaks volumes about how powerful that early success was in the UK. But it definitely doesn't erase the international damage. The US career, the show he inherited, it all collapsed because ultimately the person didn't seem to match the persona he was selling.
The persona became the trap. #tag outro.
So when we pull back and look at this whole what's the big take, the core lesson here, and our sources are really clear on, is about fame in the digital. You can build this highly curated persona, like Corden's grateful everyman, based entirely on seeming authentic and relatable. And that can bring you massive, almost instant global success.
It's built on shaky ground. That huge contrast between the shiny, kind public image and all these consistent stories of private aggression and entitlement, especially towards staff or service, it leads to an equally huge and, for the public, almost satisfying crash.
Right. The bigger the gap between the image you sell and the reality people start to see, the harder the fall, the more devastating the exposure.
And for Corden, that vulnerability was kind of built into his success strategy from the start.
It absolutely was. His whole U.S. rise depended on the audience believing he was genuinely that humble, appreciative guy.
Which leaves us with a question for you, though. As you kind of look around at all the curated personalities online, celebrities, influence, if someone's success relies entirely on us believing they're authentic, how strong is that success, really?
Yeah, was it inevitable that Corden's alleged real behavior, being rude, demanding, egotistical, would eventually come out and end his U.S. career? Because the audience didn't just dislike his actions, they felt personally betrayed by the image he sold.
Something to think about next time you see a new viral star.